Takže vážení přátelé, ve vašich připomínkách ke konferenci často požadujete nějakou ukázku z Evropy, nejenom ze Spojených států, ale zejména z Evropy. My jsme tu připomínku vzali vážně a pozvali jsme Petra Jägera z Esri Švýcarsko. Petr Jäger se měl mluvit o švýcarských dráhách, o Migros, ale ze závažných důvodů se v neděli omluvil, ale ze švýcarskou zodpovědností zase poslal zástupce, kterým bude Roland Schenkel. S Petrem má společné dvě věci. Jednak vystudovali oba dva ETH, slavnou univerzitu v Curychu. Roland po absolutoriu potom byl ještě 5 let zaměstnancem ETH, kde pracoval v týmu, který vydal školní atlas pro Švýcarsko, respektive celosvětový atlas pro švýcarské školy. No a pak mají ještě jednu věc společnou, že oba dva pracují v Esri Švýcarsko. Přičemž Roland má na starosti business development. Takže bude mluvit jenom o Migros, nebude mluvit o SBB, ale myslím si, jak jste viděli na tom videu, že to je docela zajímavé téma, takže bych poprosil Rolanda, aby se ujal slova.
Thank you. Dobrý den, good morning. So, who of you ever heard of Migros before today? Any hands? Okay, that is what I expected. So, some words about Migros first. From a global perspective, Migros is probably not as popular as the Matterhorn, which you can see in the picture behind me. But for Swiss citizens, Migros belongs to Switzerland just like our mountains. Migros is the Switzerland's largest retail company, its largest supermarket chain, and also one of the largest employers with over 100,000 employees. Sorry. In a global context, Migros is one of the 40 largest retailers also. And what also is special about Migros is the fact that the company is actually organized as a cooperative. So what I neglected and what you just have seen already is that I'm an owner of Migros because I'm also a member of the cooperative. And what also is really important, Migros is a love brand. It is one of the Swiss brands with the best reputation when it comes to image, quality, identification, and sustainability. In a global retailer sustainability rating, they were rated first place last year. For many years, Migros has been using GIS for its expansion planning and market development. About 2 years ago, they decided to take the next step with GIS and building a comprehensive monitoring system for the entire supply chain, allowing them to optimize complicated processes, to minimize expenses, and recognize abnormalities early. This solution is called Tower, and we will have a look into it today. As for any retailer, everything starts with and is dependent on the customers. Customers have needs they like to have fulfilled. And the one who wins the competition is the retailer who fulfills those needs most quickly and at the lowest price. But customers have more and more expectations when it comes to sustainability. And there are certainly also trends. So 3 weeks ago, maybe you heard about it, in Switzerland we had elections on the national level. And the biggest winners were the green parties. This shows that people are more and more aware of such topics. Since Migros already has an image of being sustainable, they like to maintain and even grow that image. For them, it is also a way to differentiate from their competition. It's a competitive advantage being sustainable. And what they also want to use is their first mover advantage as a pioneer of a sustainable retailer. They are at the forefront, and they want to keep running at the forefront also in the future. Now, what is needed to maintain and grow the sustainability image are specific actions. Migros needs to be concrete. They made some promises regarding sustainability in the past, and now they need to keep word. People should really see what actions they take. We will now make a deep dive in one of these concrete actions. It is a tool inside of the tower solution, which is designed to reduce the CO2 emissions of their transports. Their holistic approach started with digitization. In the field of transports, lots of data are concerning the routes and the trucking routes, so the output of the first step is mainly data. In a second step, you usually want to visualize, to process, and to analyze those data. This is where the tower solution comes into play. The tower is designed to present data from different business systems in one application. Every driven route is tracked in that system, and Migros then had the idea to analyze those routes concerning CO2 emissions. To do so, they needed first elevation profiles. The elevation profiles actually of the routes, because they needed engine performance, and thus the emissions correlate to the slope of the street. With a profile of the route and the algorithm which model the engine performance based on the slope, the speed, the load factor, and many more parameters, they could actually calculate emission for every engine type, such as diesel, electric, gas, or hydrogen. After that, they went to a validation phase. To validate the model, they used some test trucks and made measurements in the field in order to make sure the model fits reality good enough. So they were able to have a proven model of the emission for each route and engine type. The next step is now to optimize. For each route, you can now calculate which engine type is the most suitable one and has least emissions respectively. When you know for each route which engine type is the optimal one, you can start to optimize your fleet, and of course, you can now also optimize the routes, not regarding time, but regarding emissions. But you cannot stop at this point. When it comes to implementation, additional factors have to be considered. For instance, think about hydrogen engines. You also need gas stations, or in this case, hydrogen stations, or even a network of hydrogen stations. At the moment, we do not have a network of hydrogen stations in Switzerland. So to be really able to operate such trucks, the infrastructure has to be ready. For electric trucks, you also have to consider how the power is produced, actually. It is useless regarding sustainability if you use energy from coal power plants. For biogas trucks, Migros cooperates with the city of St. Gallen, which delivers biogas from their bio-waste plant. As you can see, you cannot skip any of the steps. It takes every year towards more sustainability. And when you look at this slide, you can easily imagine that software, and in particularly GIS, takes a key role. For the capturing of the routes, for the elevation profiles, and within the algorithms, GIS is used. And also to manage field data and to plan and build up an energy supply network. So for instance, to find the best locations for gas stations, GIS is used. Let me quickly introduce you to the tower. As mentioned, the tower is an artifact of digitization. The data needed to monitor the supply chain was already available, but they were heterogeneous and decentralized. They were actually intransparent. The tower centralized all data in one single point of truth, a place where all data comes together and where real information is actually aggregated, like in an airport control tower, thus the name. And the tower can also act as an early warning system because it shows on maps where global hazards occur, such as tropical cyclones. The majority of data in a supply chain is geospatial, and therefore GIS technology is essential. So let's have a quick look into the solution. Let me start with the mission control. This is the view for the management. The information is aggregated and displayed in real time. The most conspicuous component is certainly the globe, whereupon you see Migros supplier network. On the left side, you can see some KPIs concerning the road and trail transports in Switzerland, as well as international transports. On the right, you can see numbers of current road transports and their location. At the bottom, you can also see a news ticker about road conditions in Switzerland and global natural hazards. The web-based tower solution allows easy access to information for everyone. Dispatchers, suppliers, carriers, or even the marketing department. Of course, there are different views for different stakeholders, but everyone accesses the same information and is connected to everything and everyone. This is how Migros creates full transparency, and this very transparency helps Migros to control their supply chain. Let me now come back to the CO2 emission tool. This tool was developed during this year and was recently added to the tower. In this view, you can see an overview over all tours of a day. In the upper left section, the blue one, you can see the total distance that has been driven on this day, which sums up to roughly 23,000 kilometers. The total energy demand is shown in the orange section, and the total CO2 emissions of all tours is visible in the light blue section and sums up to about 17.7 tons. When diesel trucks run all the routes, which is the case today. The last KPI in the gray area is the amount of CO2 emissions if all tours had been run or operated with a CO2 optimal fleet, which is not the case today. So there is a saving potential of CO2 emissions of about 13 tons for one day. The model to calculate emission was developed by Swiss Federal Laboratories of Materials Science and Technology in cooperation with Migros and Esri. Now we can go and analyze a single tour. So we go into the Analyze tab, and let me select this tour here. In a second, you will see in the upper right section, which is currently being loaded, all the KPIs and comparisons between different drive systems, such as diesel, hydrogen, biogas, and electro. In this graph, you see the energy demand versus the fuel or battery capacity over time. You can see that at the end of this tour, this diesel truck has still about 17% remaining in the tank. Now I selected the numbers for an electro truck, and it takes a bit of time to load the data again. But then you can see at the end of the tour here, in the same graph again, that the battery is nearly empty. In this section above here, you can see the comparisons for all drive systems regarding energy demand for this route. And you can also see the CO2 emissions per drive system. The graph on the right side shows the needed engine performance. So this one here. The red line is the maximum that an up-to-date Electrotech engine can deliver. If I click in the graph, the 3D scene below pans to the respective place, and in the pop-up you can see all the details for this 30-meter segment of the route. Now I can look for a point where the needed engine performance is higher than the maximum an electro engine can deliver. As you can imagine, this part of the route includes a steep incline. You can see here in the 3D scene that we are in a hilly area here. So for this route, an electro truck is probably not the appropriate one, since the battery is at the limit at the end and the engine cannot deliver enough performance for this incline. Anyhow, today the route is operated with a diesel truck. This is not optimal, at least, but we can calculate the effective CO2 emissions for the delivery of goods on this route, which actually brings me back to the customer, to us, and also to myself. Literally, every day we face the situation that we have to decide which product we like to buy. Especially for consumer goods, the price is often the most important factor. However, more and more people are willing to improve their own footprint and to make their behavior more sustainable or more healthy, for instance. This is also what Migros has in mind when it comes to concrete action that their customers see. To bring sustainability at customers' fingertips and being transparent, they want to really show the CO2 emissions for each product. So thanks to the proven model and the CO2 module in the tower solution, Migros will be able to calculate the CO2 emission on a product level. So we as customers will get in the choice to decide for a more sustainable product. Of course, the transport of a product generates only one part of the whole CO2 emission. But as we have seen in the beginning, it takes every gear when it comes to sustainability. In that sense, the Esri-based solution for Migros is one important part towards a sustainable supply chain and a sustainable consumer behavior. Thanks to the solution, a customer will be able to clearly see his or her CO2 impact when buying a product off the shelf. Or to put in other words, of the recent Esri slogan, thanks to GIS, you can see what others can't. Thank you.
Perfect.